Succession planning is at the top of the list when it comes to priorities for many HR professionals. They are keen to build the next generation of leaders and know it's critical to an employer's success. And yet, succession planning remains a challenging area when it comes to building and formalizing a program, identifying future leaders, and ensuring their success. Our recent roundtable, moderated by Associate Publisher and Managing Editor Todd Humber, brought together senior HR experts to discuss the issues and provide possible solutions. In this video, the first of a three-part series, panelists talk about why so many employers lack successors, how to get the executive suite to buy into the importance of a formal program, and why leaders need to support future leaders.
I think it's seldom integrated with the business needs. I mean, what I see is often a disconnect between the strategic plan of the organization and succession planning, which hangs out by itself, and it needs to be so totally integrated, and it's not. So just even having a retention plan for those people that you want to retain, there's somebody over here who's responsible for retention, somebody over here who's responsible for recruitment, and the two don't seem to connect at the right place.
If I may, I think also it's resources are always a challenge, and it's always a challenge to get the timing right. I think most people understand that we need to develop the next layer, but when there's a restriction on resources, you don't want to bring that talent in too early, because it'll go to waste and not be you won't be utilizing that asset, as Les said. But if you wait too long, it's a very hard thing to catch up on.
Yeah, and I also think that succession planning doesn't have immediate payback. So human nature is, I'm going to work on the most immediate priorities and tuck away those investment projects, and I think that's gets in the way. And if you're in a small company, for example, you've got a lot of priorities on a daily basis, and the last thing your boss is not likely to be saying to you, how's your succession planning coming for yourself or your department? Whereas if it's front and center with the top management, that will encourage people to spend the time now for longer term payoffs.
I also think there's, there is a strong cultural aspect of having a passion for people. And if that comes from the top and that comes from the CEO or president, and he cascades that to his C-suite, his or her C-suite, and then that's cascaded down to the organization, then that's where your strength's going to be. But that passion and that passion for people, and that understanding that people do, they are an investment resource, and that you do need to invest and build and grow your talent in order to be successful as a business, and your business really is a people business, then I think it's got to cascade from the top ultimately.
Absolutely needs to come from the top, and the whole executive team needs to buy in. And I think generally speaking, most executives understand the concept and the theory of succession planning. It's when it gets down to the actual budgeting process and tying into the strategic planning process, I think it's hard for people to think about losing a top performer and also adding on to their team when they might not need to now, but they need to in 9 to 12 to 18 months. And so I think the role of HR is just making sure that those you get those prompts in at the strategic planning time and ask those difficult questions, get them thinking about it.
I think as the head of HR, if you've got a partnership with the CEO and you both agree that succession planning is a priority, it's part of the business needs going forward, then together you and the CEO can reward the ones that are doing it well, make sure that it's well known that you value what they're doing in terms of people development, and you confront those who aren't. But if the two of you aren't in alignment, and it's just HR kind of driving the speech on succession planning, it's not going to, you'll make inroads, but it's a tough sled. The CEO has got to step up and say, this is a priority.
I think to be proactive about it too, you have to not just assess your current needs, but you have to assess what your future needs are going to be, and then look at what the gaps are between the two and have a plan for doing something about those gaps. Knowing that if you have a 5-year plan, it's not going to work out that way, but at least you have a direction. How many new people are you going to need at what level because of mergers, acquisitions, divestitures, people leaving voluntarily, involuntarily? You can actually do a plan for the numbers that are involved when you're in a bigger organization and start to see where some of those gaps are and where you can allocate resources.
And I think part of being able to do that well and part of being able to do succession planning well is it's helping managers and helping leaders do that. Because being able to just look at capability needs and capacity needs and culture needs to plan for the future it's difficult for leaders to do. And sometimes they feel like they're being asked to look into a crystal ball. What do I do? How do I know what we're doing in 3 to 5 years? So it does start with a really good business strategy in the first place. But trying to understand what the people levers are of that strategy, I think is, yes, it's the manager's role. But going back to Leslie's point, it's the HR value add. It's having a strategic HR business partner that can actually help you do that and help you understand what the people levers are from your business strategy to do that. Because a lot of leaders don't have the language. So you need to support them in doing that and build the model that's going to help them make that translation from strategy to people.